guys, week 2. So you got 1 week of virtual learning under your belt, and I must say you guys did a great job. There were a few people that asked, like, where do I post my work? So I don't really care if you post it on Google Classroom or just send me a picture of your work. And it doesn't have to be on the exact sheet that I post. If you just want to write down the problems and write your answers all worked out on a piece of notebook paper or just a piece of paper, whatever you got, I will take. I'm not going to be picky about that. So this week I'm going to work on giving you feedback from last week. But yeah, this whole quarantine thing's kind of crazy. As you can tell, Lady is very, very concerned about it. She has taken several naps today to console herself with it. But I just want to say that I never in my life thought that I would miss school as much as I do right now. So I miss all of your faces, and I hope that you're having a safe but good time at home. And just stay healthy, and hopefully I get to see you guys before May, because who knows at this point. But yeah, email with questions. I can do video chats or whatever. If you are not understanding something, just really reach out, advocate for yourself. But yeah, I really miss you guys, and I hope you have a really good week this week. Bye. Lady, can you say bye? She says bye, I promise. She's pathetic, but I love her. All right, so last week you guys did a great job and you guys found slope of a line. This week we are going to focus on finding x and y intercepts. So looking at this graph, hopefully it's pretty obvious that these 2 points that I made are the x and the y-intercept. So let's start with our x-intercept. Just like it sounds, x-intercepts are on the x-axis. So 1, 2, 3, this is at 4. So if I were to write this as a point, this would be 4, but the y value of this point, since it's at 0 on the y-axis, would be 0. Now, just like the x-intercept, the y-intercept is on this y-axis, and since it's up here at 2, the y value is 2, but our x value, if we look on the x line, this would be at 0. So the important thing to note here is that for an x-intercept, the y is 0, and for the y-intercept, the x is 0. So intercepts always have zeros. It's just the opposite of what we're trying to find. So if you're trying to find the x-intercept, you know the y value is 0. If you're trying to find the y-intercept, you know the x is 0, because there is always going to be 0 in an intercept. So your assignment gives you equations. So for example, your assignment number 1 looks like this. But you're asked to find the 2 intercepts, and you're asked to write them in points. So first, let's start with that x-intercept. So I'm going to abbreviate that x-intercept. I already know that the y value is 0. Okay, so instead of y, again, since it's the x-intercept, I'm looking for a number for x. I already know that the y value is 0. So really, this doesn't even matter. So x minus 0 equals 1. That literally just means that x has to be 1. So if I'm writing this as a point, I know that x is 1, but the y is always going to be 0. So here is my x-intercept. Now I'm going to do the same exact thing for the y-intercept, but this time, instead of y being the 0, I'm going to make this x 0. Okay, so again, this 0 doesn't mean anything, but I have a negative in front of y, which really means this is just like negative 1y. So to get rid of that negative 1, this is just an easy one-step equation. I want to divide by this negative 1. That'll cancel those out. So my y now equals 1 divided by negative 1 is negative 1. So my other intercept is, again, I knew my x was 0, but my y value is negative 1. So there are my two intercepts right there, my x and my y. Okay, so let's do another example. So this is number 2 on your worksheet. So again, I'm going to start with that x-intercept. Once again, I know that this y value is going to be 0. So 0 times 2, well, that's just 0. So I have 3x plus 0. Okay, so again, I plugged in 0 here. 0 times anything is just 0. So do I really need that 0? No, not really. So my actual equation is just 3x equals negative 10. Okay, so to solve this, I'm going to divide by 3. So those 3's cancel. X is going to equal negative 10 divided by 3, which, if I type that in my calculator, gives me negative 3.33333. I'm just going to round that, so I'm just going to leave it negative 3.3. So if I write this, my x always goes first, and then I know the other value is, 0. So there is my first intercept. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and find that y-intercept. So once again, with the y-intercept, this time x is 0. So 3 times 0, again, gives me 0, plus 2y equals negative 10. Once again, I don't need this 0. So that just leaves me with 2y equals negative 10. Again, to get rid of the thing in front of y, I need to divide because they're side by side. So I divide by 2 to cancel those out, which leaves me with y equals negative 5. So if I write this one as a point, this is the y value, so this is the second number. We know that the other number has to be 0 because it's an intercept. So there is my two intercepts. And it's okay that you get decimals. Some of them will be decimals. So let's do one more example. I think this is number 3 on your page. So 5x plus 2y equals 10. So there is our third example here. Now, again, starting with the x-intercept, I know that this y part is going to cancel. It's going to be 0. So just a shortcut would be to just ignore that y part altogether. So 5x equals 10. To solve that, divide by 5. So x equals 2. But again, I'm writing this as a point, so x needs to go first. Then the other value needs to be 0. So there's my first point. And then the y-intercept, it's the opposite. So in the first one, this canceled out. So in the y-intercept, this is going to cancel out. So all I will have is 2y equals 10. So we want to divide the 2 out. So y is going to equal 5. Y is that second number, so I know the first number needs to be 0. So really what you're doing is you're setting up 2 one-step equations, one with x and one with y. Solve those equations and then write them as points where the other value is going to be 0. So make sure you're always writing x first and then y second. So there is how you find x and y intercepts.